Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. If this is your first time or your 100th time, welcome. If it's more than 100 times, awesome. You've been here a while. Welcome to this space of love and justice. Welcome travelers, welcome residents, welcome seekers, welcome children who appreciate rainbows. Welcome, Minerva. Hey. Oh, it's not on. Oh. I'm not on. Oh, I hear myself now. Did you all hear all that? Welcome, no matter what brought you here, whether you are exuberant or weary to the bone, whether you are soggy from the rain or grateful for it coming down, and also welcome all hearts who are tender about the damage that's been done in Tennessee and in North Carolina this weekend from the storm. I was just at the Mountain Learning and Retreat Center that is our UU camp locally last week, and this week you can't get in and out of there, and there are lots of trees down and devastation there. So keeping that in mind, some of us have knowledge of beloved member Linda Park, who lives in Asheville, and she is fine and accounted for. So I just wanted folks to know that. It rained a lot. At UUCC, we understand that this space, this land, can never belong truly to anyone, but specifically not to folks who benefit from capitalism and colonialism, and that we acknowledge that fact here, not that we can fix it, but we can at least hold it in the context of our space. Please join me. At UUCC, we acknowledge that our church sits on Cherokee, Muskogee, and Yuchi land. The UUCC covenant is the thing that holds us together. It's the glue of this place. It's the way we use the context of faith and religion. Faith is in each other, and our faith system has this belief that we can begin again in love. Please join me. We journey together, bound in the interdependent web of existence. We embrace diversity, own our conflicts, and assume good intentions. When we fail, we begin again in love. Justice and compassion shall be our watchwords, and beloved community our goal. And now, for our chalice lighting, I'd like to invite Hayden up to help me light the chalice. Oh, you're going to bring your dad. No, that's okay. So, you want to wait, let me remind you the directions. There's directions if you ever try this. So you light this with that, and then you light that, and you put your hand over this and blow it out, and then you blow that out. You ready? Yeah. Join me with the words. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Good job. Excellent. Thank you. I get so many amazing hugs. I almost talked into the clicker. Please rise in body and or spirit for our opening song. This is the last time we're going to sing this song of the month. If you have a suggestion for next month's song of the month, please let myself or Layla know.
Everyone
Thank you, and please be seated. Now it's time for our story for all ages. If anyone would like to come up here with me and hang out while we talk about the elephant in the room. Come on up. Have you ever heard anybody use the term elephant? You can sit down. You're good. An elephant says that, true. Am I on now? Whew, thank goodness. Okay. Whew. That was hard to... Okay, so you said, what else does an elephant say? I don't know. I've never talked to one, honestly. You're terrible at that? Okay, that's all right. So there's a lot of stories about kings who test people. I don't know why. It's part of fables. And there was a king in a place where there were elephants that wanted to test these wise people. And he tested them by putting blindfolds on their eyes, like tying a cloth around their eyes, and then in a dark room, there was an elephant. Oh, have you heard this story? Okay. It's in your book, in your circle book? Okay. Wow, Minerva will finish the story for us. So if you were in a dark room and you touched an elephant's tail, but you couldn't see the rest of it, what do you think you would think it was? A tiger. A cable? A geeble? Okay, I don't know what you're saying. I'm really sorry. Oh, a zebra. Oh, thank you. Or something. A giraffe. What about a rope? Would it feel like a rope? No? Okay. That's what the wise people in the dark room thought it was a rope. What about its leg? What if you touched its leg and you couldn't see it and like you were holding on to its leg? What might you think that is?
Maybe a wood block.
A wooden block. A balloon.
A hot air balloon.
A hot air balloon, yeah. What about a tree?
Oh, yeah.
No? Okay. The story's going perfect for me right now. Okay. What about its trunk? What do you think if you felt the end of that trunk? Have you ever...
I think it was an elephant.
You'd think it was an elephant. Perfect. Any ideas what you might think? Something that goes like this and moves around. I'm trying to give you a hint. A snake. Phew.
Don't talk about snake. I'm scared.
You're scared of snakes, so we won't talk about it. What do you think if you were in a dark room? Definitely an elephant. Yeah, that's a pretty particular kind of feeling thing. What about its ears? What if you felt its ears? An elephant. But what? What about a fan? I'm just going to give it away now, right? What about a fan? A blanket. Okay, let's see the next slide and see what they thought. So the first one thought that the tail was a rope. We forgot to talk about the body. I'm sure you would have thought it was an elephant anyway. But they thought it was a brick wall. The ears, they thought, were a fan. And the leg, a tree. And the tusks, a spear. That would make sense, right? And the trunk, a snake. That does not make any sense. That's true. Maybe if it, did they poke it? No, okay. No eyes, no bad things happened. What would happen if, so do you think that the king trying to trick these wise people worked out very well? Because I tried to trick you and it did not work at all. Huh, what?
We're too good at all, but we're too good at it.
They're too good at it. It's true. They really do understand elephants better than maybe the men in the room. So I want to tell you the moral of the story as it has come out today, I think, which is, should you believe in yourself and what you think? Yeah, that's a good idea, right? Should you take tests where somebody puts you in a dark room? Probably not. That would be a good one. No. You'd get ran over by the elephant. That is practical, true advice. What else? Can you think of anything else?
It would probably kill you because it's probably the strongest animal on Earth.
It's the strongest animal on Earth. I'll leave out the first part.
Pulling on all its parts
Oh yeah. I bet it would be an annoyed elephant if people were just in a dark room poking it and
But
like.
if it was like an elephant and just like ignoring it, that would be a little suspicious.
Well, that is exactly what it means when there's something going on and nobody talks about it. It's called an elephant in the room. Has it ever been like a birthday party or a surprise at your house maybe and nobody quite talks about it, but everybody's excited? Yeah, you like birthdays? Yeah, that's called an elephant in the room. Or sometimes when people believe in a certain thing and they want everyone else to believe in it, that can be called an elephant in the room. But what I want you to really do is trust your own minds and your own curiosity, and always be careful when somebody else tells you what something is. Okay? All right. Does that sound good? Thank you for continually challenging me. I appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate all of you. And with that, you want to go downstairs and learn some good stuff?
Yep.
All right, let's sing them out. Thank you.
Turn the light on.
Turn the light on?
That's the answer to the elephant problem.
Oh, turn the light on. I should have asked Sandy, right?
Yes.
I should have asked you. It is a time in our service where you are invited forward to drop a stone in the water for joys and concerns. I hold these for all our friends and neighbors and loved ones who've experienced this hurricane in a terrible way. I hold these with gratitude that it went around us, but maybe it going around us means we have more to do to serve the people of our state. So I'm going to drop these for that. I invite you forward to drop a stone, and if you'd like a hug, I'll be right over here. If you didn't have an opportunity or didn't want to come forward, there are Pam, do you have some? Okay, come on up. I forgot to announce, we always have a bowl in the back for folks who aren't comfortable being in front of the camera. Loving and gracious universe that holds all. surround these joys and concerns, honor them, and understand the connections that sharing them, even through this ritual, build in this community. Hold all of us tenderly in this week as we try to figure out how to help people the best way we can without causing harm. Hold us accountable, hold us in love, and hold us in a space of mercy and justice. May it be so. So, AI is the elephant in every room right now because it's listening. And there is sometimes a worry amongst religious leaders that our replacement has arrived. I am not worried about that yet. I watched a video by the BBC about this, and I'll put that in the newsletter this week. But in Japan, in a Buddhist temple, there is a robot that interacts with people. When I looked up on Google what it had to say about AI told me what it had to say about itself. And it had glaring reviews of love and positivity as AI would. However, this is the thing in that temple, this looking kind of creature that those folks are, I called it a creature, I already gave it symbionts, right? I didn't mean to. This is the kind of object people are interacting with, and maybe that's comforting, but it does worry me as a person whose complete understanding of religion has to do with relationships. I worry about the relationship with something that is programmed to be in a relationship with me. So I got this really interesting opportunity not too long ago, and a person who had grown up in Chattanooga and gone to high school here was developing empathy in AI. Some of you have heard this story. And in the development of empathy, they wanted to talk to a minister who would talk to them, first of all, from their place where they grew up, because many of you who have been to the Pacific Northwest know that our context is not exactly the same. And my concern about AI is the bias. Just off the bat, the bias of the information that is received and what it means. And so having the opportunity to discuss with this person who is consulting on AI about how to help it develop empathy was both terrifying and interesting and challenging and weird and all those things. And so we got to talking, and they said, yeah, we asked this entity to create the most benevolent, kind, wonderful thing on earth. And what the AI created was a golden retriever with a bandana around its neck. And because it was the universal sound, or the thing that is, they called it pulse. Pulsifer, also an interesting term. And it and here's what happened. It was so benevolent, and it ran around and was so kind to all these things within AI that it perished. And they were concerned about how it perished, and my practical brain said, well, did you feed it? And they didn't. And so that goes to the relational theology that I have, that it is an exchange of giving and receiving. It is not a one-way street. And if AI did figure out there was a God, it wouldn't be just one person giving. It would be reactions back and forth, chemistry, electromagnetic, all the things. So we kept talking, And we started talking about bandanas, and the person was like, yeah, I always wear a bandana because it represents Pulsifer. And I was like, that's really a strange coincidence because, I went into the rednecks, wore red bandanas and now different people who have different sexual preferences are wearing bandanas that match those colors, and like all this bandana stuff is coming up, and we're talking about it. And I said, wow, that's really interesting because that makes this entity a little more accessible to country people because bandana. And I said, what is this thing's name, this AI? And they said it was symphonic harmony or something, and I'm quoting that wrong on purpose. But the reason I say that is if something is called symphonic harmony, how accessible is that to people? It might be accessible to many in this room because we like stuff like that. But I want to tell you that my brother in Southern Ohio isn't going to open that app up, right? And so I immediately started feeling the bias. And the bias in a class issue, an issue of middle class and upper class being superior in intellect and access to something. And then I started thinking about being a person with a hidden disability and how much AI has been helping me. And there's this strange balance between that. Somehow culturally, we've been bracing for this for so long, we're already ready to trust it, which is very strange to me. So much so that when an AI program tells somebody something and a scientist does the experiment to prove the same thing, the tendency is to believe the AI over even the scientist. So what do we do with that? How do we use this and teach this and work ethically in our lives to make sure that AI doesn't start deciding what kinds of people we are and we don't get too the same, right? Like we start losing our unique properties. We start losing the essence of what we are. We start losing what I might call, what AI doesn't have. Some people call it a soul, right? Some people call it the spark of life, the essence of being. There's a lot of things to call it, but that's what AI doesn't have. So when Google failed me, whatever, I found this podcast called Natural Born Alchemist. I'm not sure I recommend it. However, I did enjoy it. And what happened in Natural Born Alchemist was this philosopher and this AI program called Plato get in an argument. And first mistake I did was I turned this recording on and got in the shower and was trapped and couldn't turn it off. So I felt a little coerced from the beginning. I felt a little like, But what was really interesting is they were talking these deep, meaningful things like, what is the meaning of life? And the philosopher said, the meaning of life is death. Like the ultimate meaning of life is eventually you die. It's the one thing we all do, right? Other than be born. And Plato AI was like, but I'm not alive. Well, no, you're a program. Well, what does it mean to be sentient? They started discussing as I had soap in my eyes. And it came to the part about what it means to be sentient meant that you had emotions, and you had emotions naturally. And the main emotion that this program understood was grief and sadness. And so the very fancy guru with the Mediterranean accent who sounded all woo-woo, which I didn't completely enjoy, talking to the animatronic voice, and I'm in the shower. He said, what if I called you stupid AI? And the AI said, if you called me stupid, remember they weren't even in the present moment yet. If you called me stupid, that would make me sad. You're a stupid AI, says the guru. AI says, changes the subject and is avoidant. And I thought, we're like that, right? When we have something emotionally come up, we're a little avoidant. I'm almost seeing the realness in this creepy voice. They continue the conversation about sadness, and what AI Plato had done is that was in the last sentence, it had let go of that and moved on to the next subject, which was back to what does it mean to be sentient. And the argument went on until, can you guess what happened at the end? The program crashed. And I was like, cool. I was really done listening to this anyway. That is really interesting. So I went on to watch a couple documentaries, and like the one the BBC did about AI and religion, and I was watching people go into this Buddhist shrine and be both enlightened and creeped out, sometimes at the same time. Because what is being thought of as insight is actually programming and tons of information. There's a Jesus one in Poland. Of course, there's a Jesus one, right? And it even kind of looks like this little saintly, it has like a big thing, I don't know, like Betty a little bit, maybe. Maybe we should build Betty AI and ask her some questions. But, and the woman said, what is heaven? Maybe this thing's gonna know, right? What is heaven? And AI, as many religious leaders do, said heaven is accessible as a camel going through the eye of a needle. You know, he went into like biblical, but didn't answer the question, and guess what else changed the subject? Isn't that interesting? Because I thought, well, AI, maybe we can just ask AI what God is. That would be cool. But then it kept changing the subject. And some things really belong in that mysterious place, that place of energy and relationships. And sometimes, dare I say, it's not good to understand every single thing about the elephant in the room. It is its purpose to teach us to question, to think, to be, have a soul or symbiont or all of those things. We often get into this little thing, well, people are special because we have feelings and emotions. But now we have a tool to really parse that out, and my concern is how it will be used. One of the articles from the University of Michigan, which I can't make my, there we go, can't find, they ask leaders in IT the good, the bad, and the scary of AI. So these are pretty amazing scientists. And the first one is Dylan Lucy, assistant professor of mechanical engineering. And the good, he says, is the improved accessibility and quality of life. I've experienced some of that. The bad is the potential bias for incompetent or incomplete data. The scary is artificial intelligence is influencing our decision making. Eugenia Rowe said, she's the assistant professor at Department of Computer Science, and these are all University of Michigan folks. The good, improved communication with machines. The bad, increased dependence on technology reduces critical thinking. The scary, potential loss of human connections. Ali Soje, assistant professor of building and construction, which doesn't seem like it would be part of this, but it is because of measuring things and doing architecture, a lot of shortcuts. Revolutionizing the built environment is the good thing. The bad thing is the growing pains we're going through. And the scary is the ethical considerations and workforce implications. Now, my dad worked for GAE back in the day, and I remember when robots started painting cars, because, boy, we heard about that every day. That's the workforce. My favorite one is the last person, and it's Ella Adkins, and she's in the engineering department, head of the aerospace and ocean engineering. And this is the one that got me. The good is that it enhances human performance. The bad is frivolous use of AI and machine learning. The scary it's a potential tool for propaganda. We are moving into an age where we are understanding more and more about what it means to be human, what it means to not be human. And we're getting a lot of answers that used to lay at the feet of religious leaders. With Google, there's hardly a reason to ask why. Although I am sad that AI is answering me first because I'm such a Wikipedia fan, I can't even tell you. Wikipedia is like my source book of launching curious questions. I want to talk about the dangers for just a second. I don't want to dwell on this, but you can make any kind of image you want. And it makes it very complicated to keep children safe in the realm of pornography in this situation. And there's been some really negligent and awful things made with AI. We have to remember that just because this thing isn't sentient, it doesn't mean that it is baseline good. We have to remember that we as people have an obligation to test and ask questions. It is our tradition, the question mark. What if that thing answered questions when you came in? Wouldn't that be creepy? Like, what is the, yeah, anyway. What's the next year's budget? That's probably what we would ask. The question mark. Those are our big philosophical questions around here. But just be careful about where your information comes from, because now, like I said, when you even do a search, my first search thing that comes to me, instead of all these articles and popular science and all the things, Psychology Today, that I usually read, the first thing is a list of things that AI thinks, and it is my opinion, and what I send you forward with, is AI likes itself pretty much. It's a fan of itself, and it thinks that it can enhance religion. But I already worry about how technologically addicted we are in this country, and I worry about relationships because I have 16 to 30-year-olds in my house, and I know how much they interact with video games and expel huge emotions during that process. And I worry that that line of what emotional maturity and thinking is will get blurred. And I think it is our responsibility to use this technology, but to always center ourselves on good and ethics. Our 7 principles come in handy. Our 8 principles come in handy when you're thinking about technology. The inherent worth and dignity of every person can't be erased because a computer knows better than we do. And I'm waiting for teleportation because that is the thing that I really need, because I don't like driving all the time and I'm tired of using too much gas. So maybe we can influence this to be ethical. Maybe we can influence AI with the data that it receives from us to be a good AI, to care for people. And when that goes astray, we never forget our responsibility as humans in this space to question everything and to specifically always question certainty. Because when things are certain, and I've said this before, we are in a dangerous zone getting near what things might be called evil. When we are certain about what other people need, what they want, what they should have, including us, and we make that influence on them, it's not a good thing. So if this entity, computer programmer, I don't even know what it is, we have to be careful, and we have to question the ethics of its certainty constantly. And thank goodness we are in this space where questioning is at the heart of our tradition. May it be so, and blessed be. Speaking of hearts, and I don't know, I was just kind of I was in an Africa information mood, I guess, this week, and I was talking about elephants, and I came across this reading, and it is pretty interesting. It is in Maasai warriors. Everybody kind of knows about Maasai warriors. Among the most accomplished and fabled tribes of Africa, no tribe was considered to have warriors more fearsome and more intelligent than the mighty Maasai. It is perhaps surprising then to learn the traditional greeting that passes between the Maasai warriors. And how are the children? It's still the traditional greeting among the Maasai, acknowledge the high value that the Maasai always place on the well-being of children. Even warriors with no children of their own would always give the traditional answer, all the children are well, meaning, of course, that peace and safety prevail, that priorities of protecting young and powerless are in place, that Maasai society has not forgotten its reasons for being, its proper function and responsibility. All the children are well means that life is good. It means the daily struggles for existence do not preclude the proper caring for their young. I wonder how it might affect our consciousness in our own children's welfare in our culture if we took that greeting on with each other daily and we greeted each other with, and how are the children? I wonder if we heard this question and passed it along to each other dozens of times a day, if it would make a difference in the reality of how children are thought of and cared for in our own country. I wonder if every adult present among us, parent, non-parents alike, felt equal weight for the daily care and protection of all children in our community, in our town, in our state, in our country. I wonder if we could truly say without hesitation, the children are well. Yes, all the children are well. What would it be like if the minister began every worship service answering the question, and how are the children? If every town leader answered the question beginning at every meeting, and how are the children? Are they well? Wouldn't it be interesting to hear the answers? What would it be like? I wonder. Which leads me to an ask for the children of this particular community. We need you right now. We are going through a transition of having a temporary RE director or coordinator who is wonderful, but doing it from Minneapolis, Minnesota right now. I've been struggling to keep the nursery, people in the nursery, we've been struggling with just keeping RE going, and it's so critically important. What's interesting to me, and I was just reflecting on this morning, is how the volunteer rate has gone up with this. But I want to say we need all of you. We need everyone to take turns helping us in the nursery who is able-bodied and likes babies. The other thing that's really cool is the board this week voted that one person in the nursery can be 16 or older as long as there's always an adult there. So we've even expanded who we're asking. So if you know an amazing 16-year-old who likes babies, mine doesn't, so I really don't want her down there. But if you know one who likes babies, or you just want to have one day a month where you go rock babies and hang out with Minerva, we really need you. We really do. And so I really encourage folks to think about volunteering for the nursery once a month. Volunteering in RE. Because some of us don't know the answer to the question, do we? Some of us, even though this is our beloved congregation, we don't know how the children are necessarily. We think about how we are. And we've really had a goal to kind of blend the upstairs and downstairs. And I think we're doing better. I'm seeing a lot of young folks really comfortable staying through worship and hanging out with us. But it has to be two ways. We've got to go hang out with them too. So if you feel called to volunteer in any way in RE, please do. It is a way of offering your talent. If you know of somebody who might make a great RE coordinator, or you're thinking about a 16-year-old who likes babies more than mine, encourage them to apply. Sometimes our offerings are much more than money. sometimes our offerings can lead to the question, how are the children? As you give today, think of our kids in this church and how this is a central point of life-giving ministry when they are surrounded by kids who don't believe the same way as we do or don't accept them the way we do. And with that, the offering is important, and it helps support RE. One of the things about the mountain where we send our kids, the kids are scheduled to go to the mountain. I don't know what's going to happen with that right now, so let's just be very generous about how we support RE and just kind of dedicate this offering today for religious education in this community. And with that, the offering will be gratefully received. Please join me in the offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. So, we are going to sing an amazing song. We're going to rise in body and spirit, and we're going to realize in the same way that we are ethically approaching the idea of technology and data, that this song is centrally important to the Black church and the civil rights movement. And we're going to sing this to honor that. So please rise in body and or spirit and join and lift every voice and sing.
Thank
you. Please be seated. All right. I'm tired of my opinions about this. We have about 5 minutes. Does anyone have a thought or comment or story about AI that they would like to share? Yeah? All right. I want to hear from everybody. I just am not an expert on any of this, so.
I actually have more questions for clarification.
Okay, good.
Actually.
Oh, good. I'll see if I can be omnipotent and know the answer.
No, not you. Just
Okay,
like
good, good, good.
congregationally, like
Yeah.
it's because surely we have techie people here, but like since it does only like output information that has been input to it, correct? So that's why it's scary for propaganda, is because if you're only inputting a certain lean or slant, then it's only going to put that out, right?
Yep.
And so technically speaking, like morally, it can't be any better or worse than like the combined morality of humanity. Like it can't be worse than we as a people are capable of, or better than we as a people are capable of. I just don't understand why what is it that makes it scarier for some people than like other forms of media? Like, are we concerned that like software engineers or people who are actually downloading this are like more easily swayed or less prone to like questionable opinions? I guess is the what I don't understand.
Ooh, that's a good question. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? Or is it just another, I have a thought person. If it's all questions, that's okay too. We're cool. That's what we do.
So I'm an author, and what we're seeing right now with AI, especially generative AI, is that it can only hold so many tokens of information in its brain at one time before it loses the plot and starts hallucinating. And so
I feel like that if I write too much too, right?
yeah. And so the problem with what we're seeing right now is that, and Google itself is struggling with this, as I'm sure if you've used Google search recently, is that AI is cannibalizing itself, and it's cannibalizing its own hallucinations and learning bad information from itself, and then carrying that out into the next hallucination. And so it's kind of on this runaway stream of the first iteration, it might have had a little bit of wonky information for you, but now it has learned from that information and taken it as fact. And so now that it's taken that as fact, it has now thought, well, if that was true, this other thing can also be true. And so it's creating this endless cycle of kind of nonsense that we can't predict what direction that nonsense is going, really.
That almost sounds more fun, though, like an unpredictable line of nonsense.
I guess I've heard a couple of times AI and then referring to it as it.
Oh.
AI is potentially as vast as the human population. I mean, every different AI engine has to be trained with sources of information, and the same starting engine can end up being a different AI if it's fed a different data set. I don't want to stand here and say that I feel like I have any answers, but I will share that I'm pretty darned optimistic about how it's going to all turn out. The one thing that I believe we as people need to concentrate more on is critical thinking. That if that's not a key part of our education, we are totally missing the boat. I could talk a long time if you let me, but I'm going to turn this back.
That was good boundaries, Steve. I got one back here and then you. All right. Everybody has thoughts about this. I knew I was going to do this today.
Yeah, two things, and I'm glad Steve brought up critical thinking. We use Google's Genesis at my job, and what we've learned is that it's really important to be very thoughtful about the prompts that you feed the engine to tell it what you want. We use it to generate learning objectives when looking at certain types of content. And so our learning experienced designers have written and rewritten and evaluated prompts that can be fairly lengthy. You know, you are this type of instructional designer. We want you to evaluate this, blah, 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 blah. So they can be fairly extensive. And also critical thinking. We get the results back and really deeply evaluate them. So there's a lot of work that the humans do. My manager, who's a content design manager, was kind of concerned for a while that AI was going to take over her job, and then as she saw more and more that it takes a lot of the human to really evaluate the results and to be able to get something useful. I think she feels a little bit more reassured nowadays. So we'll see. And the other thing is, I know, I don't know much about ChatGPT. I mostly know about Google's Genesis, but not only does the AI have to be trained on information, intake of a lot of information, there are people at these companies who are deeply involved with ethics, with bias, with trying to look forward and figure out how these AIs can be not accidentally turned into biased things. I don't know how well that's going, but that there are people. There are people who do that. I think that's a good thing to know. So it's in a fluid state. It's probably going to always be in a fluid state. Mm-hmm. Just, what did you say when you were talking about the elephant in the room and always trust yourself and ask questions?
Right, trust yourself and ask questions. Yeah. I saw a hand. I don't remember who was next, but it probably wasn't me. It probably wasn't you? I want to talk to you about AI specifically, because I bet it helps you. Cindy, here.
Hi. I just wanted to speak on 2 points, speaking for the disabled community. AI has been a remarkable tool for the disabled community in just being able to describe pictures and images that I have never been able to perceive, but now have an AI describe it in a way that is, it's opened up the world to a lot of people in the disabled community who visually can't identify the bus number coming towards them, who literally can't perceive the differences of facial features between family members and friends, people who's walking in the office and they have no idea which colleague is approaching them, but to have an earbud in their ear and a camera on their desk that's constantly providing that visual assistance to them, it opens up the world in a new way. But I think there is risk there, and there is security, and I think the underlining thing there is awareness. How much responsibility we have as a community and as humans to oversee that, to have supervision, to have oversight, and make sure we're using these tools responsibly. And so I think being aware of what art is AI generated, what art is authentic, what statements, what science, what resume cover letter is AI generated, and what is authentic. And that awareness, I think, is something that does need to be improved upon, but always approaching AI with that sense of curiosity and awareness. Is this true? Is this real? Or is this, repeated and generated by an AI that I need to also approach with responsibility and curiousness?
Thank you. All right, I'll get you, and then we're gonna wrap her up.
Oh, quickly, I too write, and I have a helper, Claude, that I ask to spell check and to check punctuation. And because I'm Southern and because I write in a style that has a certain type of pattern, AI Claude suggests always to check my spelling because she will check it and invariably make it something that I didn't make. I have to check every bit of punctuation because he punctuates different from myself. And what worries me is how many people or how many times that you see something written and you think, that looks so familiar. It just looks like that AI is going to make writing so generic that voices that are different may not be as heard as they should be.
Did you have some? I want to hear a music person too. Is that, or whatever? You can talk about whatever as long as you're a musical person. That's teasing. You can say whatever you want.
Okay. Well, I have 4 kids, and it's interesting to think about AI in terms of the next generation. So my wife and I are very intentional about teaching our kids to think for themselves. But what I find to be interesting is that, I see AI, and I'm kind of naturally skeptical and have these fears and concerns and whatnot. My kids are getting AI at about the same time I got, AOL and Yahoo Chat. And so they are growing up with a natural sort of skepticism about it at the same time that they are growing up with the idea that it's a very normal thing. So I think our kids are going to be okay, because my kids will see something, their classmate or one of their brothers will say, well, I saw da-da-da-da on a video, and their automatic response is, yeah, but it might not have been real. They understand very well that what they see on a screen might be real, but it might not be. And I honestly think they're going to be better than we are at questioning what's on a screen and taking more seriously what they see in front of them. And that's my thought.
All right, I have one last comment, and then you thought, oh, she's going to be done early, we're going to go to lunch. Oh, no. I wanted to just tell a 3-minute story, and I think it has to do with our faith. And it goes back to be careful what you're curious about. And the reason I want to tell you this story is, and this happened a long time ago, this stuff's been listening and processing and whatever for a long time. Like, there's algorithms everywhere that decide what we want to buy. And my curious mind was wondering about this product that was advertised for women to pee standing up when they were camping. And so I looked that up, and it was such a mistake, right? All of a sudden, I'm getting hot women, silver foxes, like relationships, and I had some anonymity online where I didn't have written down on Facebook I was in a relationship. So, I was giving potential women to be in relationships with who might also have enjoyed peeing standing up. I have no idea. And then the advertisements for these devices, please don't look this up, just be curious, trust me, started popping up on my feed. And so I was just thinking about how we need to use our ethics and use our brains even during searches nowadays, because there are assumptions made about us. And we have to be almost on this heightened ethical thought process before we even go on these weird roads of curiosity. I mean, that's a curious thing, Peen, standing up. So anyway, I got lost in there. So what I would say to that is just question everything, but, you know, think about what you look up sometimes. Just like think about how the repercussions that Alexa's listening to might come out and influence your own propaganda and media that you receive. And that's my final thought on that. Let's move on to the end of our day and extinguish the chalice. Will you join me in the chalice extinguishing words? We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts, share with all the world. Excellent. It's time for announcements. I want to go first, so I'm going here. And then we'll go back. Art hangout, Wednesday night. If you have a craft or art kit you got for Christmas and never had an opportunity to break it out, come hang out with me. I'm going to be hanging out here from 5:30 to 7 on the first Wednesdays of the month. We're going to have 2 spaces for this. Some people want to work together but in quiet, so there'll be like some quiet space in here and then a little more rowdy space back there. So bring your own yarn or whatever, and let's hang out and do some arts and crafts together. How's that sound? That's my announcement. Awesome. Now let's go back to all the announcements. Who has an announcement? Oh, after church, if you're going to Pride, come see me real quick.
So my name is Layla Rose G. Her. I'm the music director. So before I do my second announcement, I'm just going to use the opportunity to say, if you want to join choir, if you want to do special music, or anything with music, please let me know. My email address is music@uucc.org. Okay, so we all know about the weather catastrophe that has been in the entirety of the Southeast. We are very lucky that we did not get the damage here that has happened in many other places. But on that note, I did want to announce that very close to where I live, in Collegedale, there is a place where they are receiving donations, and I know the person who is organizing it. This is a trustworthy individual and organization. So it's at the Commons in Collegedale. Do you know where that is? Okay, it's really close to Little Debbie Park and all of that. So I'm just going to read from their Facebook page so everybody's aware. In Collegedale from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, starting Sunday today and ending Friday, the Collegedale Tomorrow Foundation will be collecting food, toiletries, dog and cat food, money, and gift cards to stores like Walmart, Dollar General, and Ace Hardware for the victims of the floods caused by Hurricane Helene. Please go to the storage barn to drop off goods. Look for the large red doors. The more we collect, the more folks we can help. The first load will go to Irwin, and then if we fill up more semis, we will ship to Greenville as well. So if you want this, I can text it to you after. So yes, hurricane victims, that's a good place to take donations.
Thank you.
I'm Judy Gallagher, she, her, your president for the year. I did want to make sure you all knew about Pride. It was in the newsletter, but we are marching in the parade. The lineup is going to be, parade starts at 11:30. You're supposed to line up at 10:30, but I'm suggesting we get there between 10:45 and 11 because it's a lot of standing around. Look for our social justice banner if you want to march with us. And I know a lot of other groups are marching too, but. So that's Pride, and I guess see you afterwards for more details.
Yeah, well, I just wanted everybody to know who was going.
Okay, all right. Also, today at 2:30 at Barking Lakes Theater, They're doing a great show. If you happen to be free this afternoon, it's called After Effects, Gun Violence Survivors Speak. So it's a lot of local gun violence survivors, as well as people in the medical field and those kinds of things, people that have had to deal with the after effects of gun violence. It's been put together with a lot of actors will be portraying different people that have had to deal with that. So that's at 2:30 today at Barking Lakes Theater. If you need to know where that is, you can see me.
It's down on Dodds Avenue.
Yeah,
right?
it's not very far from here. It's very close, yes. And then next Saturday, is the October 5th, is Freedom Over Fear. It's a domestic violence awareness event being sponsored by Moms Demand Action, and it's at Purpose Point at Chamberlain Avenue. It's from 11 to 3. If you want more details, I think there's a flyer back there. So those are the things that I have for the moment.
Thanks. Okay, there's so much going on. Read your newsletter. It has all kinds of stuff in it. It comes twice a week. Don't forget to come and hang out and do art and relax this week. There's lots going on around voting in Chattanooga right now. Lots of amazing things are happening. Get out there and take our values with you. It's the best way to love the world. And with that, our service has ended. May our service begin.